Welcome back to RuralVacantLand.com. This is Luke Smith, and I've got another property I'd like to show you. This one is 4 acres. It's in Cochise County, Arizona. I'm asking $2,099. Cochise County, I pulled up a map. Cochise County, this is Arizona. Cochise is this square one down in the bottom eastern corner. You got New Mexico over here, Mexico here, Santa Cruz is a smaller county, some mountains over there. Pima, Yuma, California over here. Phoenix is up here, and Tucson is over here. So this bottom eastern corner is a little higher elevation than this range. This gets a lot hotter. This is a little more temperate. It's easier to stand the summers. It still gets warm, but it's not like toasty. You know, the rear view mirror falls off your windshield hot, like over here. So there's Cochise County. This one $2,099 and let's zoom in. Got the legal description. I just updated this legal description. So this is the south 264 feet of the north 792 feet. So this is the parcels. I'm calling it C. It's A, B, C, D, going from north to south. They're 4 acres. It used to be 20 acres. So, and then it says the sections and stuff. I was just updating that before I made this video. Elevations about 4,000 foot. GPS coordinates. I pay all the fees to get this thing into your name. No fees. No time limit to build. No closing document fees. Property taxes for the whole property are about like $83. You probably split that by 5, and you get down to like what this property kind of tax would be. I'm talking about water here. Water catchment, well, or delivery. There's no water to the property, but it does look like there's a power line just north of the property. So let's click on the GPS coordinates. I'll show you where we're at on a map with like pictures and stuff, and then I'll zoom in and show you that there's a power line there. So again, here's Phoenix, Tucson, El Paso, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, San Diego, Albuquerque's over here, Denver's over here, Salt Lake City's up here. So we're down by the border. As we zoom in more, we got Douglas over here. I like being by the border. Some people love it, some people hate it. I like being by the border. I live by the border, just west of here. And I like to go get stuff fixed in Mexico. I like to go try all the different restaurants and different food, different culture. It's fun to have a change. I mean, it's fun to have differences around. I don't like everything to be the same all the time. So what you can do is you can go over here, Agua Prieto, and what is that? But there is I'm sure there's about 1 million pharmacies right across the border. And why are there pharmacies right next to the border? Because it's cheaper than in the U.S. I mean, you can hear about all kinds of prescription drugs, non-prescription, whatever kinds of drugs, legal. I'm not talking about the illegal. There's the illegal stuff too, but the legal stuff, you can go over there and you can say, I got this problem, that problem. Doctor recommends this, and they say, well, we got that, and it's made in the same factory. It's got the same label. It's got all the same stamps and everything on it, but we only charge, pocket change compared to what they charge in the U.S. with all the lawsuits and liability and stuff that are always flying around. And you walk back across the border, get some good food while you're there. Walk back and, drive over back to your property, not very far away. And your friends, I bet you anything, your other friends that you have around the U.S. will be asking you to do drug runs for them too. Get this prescription and that prescription, walk it back across the border, and mail it to them. They'll be so happy. I mean, so happy. So let's take a look. Got some houses over here. There's a power line that goes down this road, and this is originally 40 acres. So let's take a look at that legal description again. This is this APN number is to 40 acres. I only bought 20 acres. I bought 20 from the guy that originally owned this. I bought half the property. He'd only sell me half of it the way we're doing this deal. So I got the 20 acres. I got 20 acres here, and then split this 5 ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C, D, E. As of right now, A and B are sold. C, D, E are still up for sale. I've got C. This is C we're talking about right here. And so I'm putting an easement down the east and west sides of this thing. And now that I'm looking at that, I'll update this legal description because I left the easement off the west. I'll add the west easement on there as well right after this video. And then so you can drive, you can pick here to drive in or pick here to drive in and get to this property, because easements are drawn on east and west of that one. So let's see. The what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so the water catchment thing. So there's power line, right? There's a power line right here. You can see the power line. You know, it's going down that road, just a little dirt road. There's a power line that runs down the road, so I don't think it'd be that hard to tap into that power line. You're not very far away from it. It's like 1 or 2 poles away or something. And build your driveway back into the property. But look over here. There's a little wash. Let's pull it up on. I should have done this before. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. It's got this software called Parcel Fact. This is made by the Land Academy people, you know, Jack Butala, Jill DeWitt. They made this software so you can put county APN in there and then find properties. They charge for it. You got to pay for it, but it's quite useful. And then when you get it, it's you know, it shows you the lines where the property is. So this is the original 40 because it's not totally through all the maps yet. So we got the eastern half of this. So where's that wash? That wash is off to the side. I was hoping it'd go right through the property so we can talk about rainwater catchment a little bit. This looks like a little bit of a hill. That looks like downhill. But you get to the property, I'm sure you can start figuring out where the water runs and accumulates. I mean, there's some bush and trees, and you know, one of these cracks, or maybe a couple of them, pull a couple of them together. Take your tractor, grade some land around, or maybe cut a score across the hill so the water catches in the trough and accumulates in one area. But what you want to do is you want that water to accumulate because you don't want to pay for a well, right? And so when you get that water to accumulate, you can pump it into a tank. And there's all kinds of tanks you can do. You can do underground tanks, so you don't see it. That's what a lot of people do. Neighborhoods and stuff, they hide them underground. Let's look at these underground ones. I'm kind of lazy. I don't like to dig holes, but you could do, you know, 500-gallon ones, your classic Thai pot style round thing. $800. It's kind of expensive. Your 600 gallons. You're gonna want more water than that. 1,100 gallons. Let's get some big ones. 1,200 gallons. $5,000. These ones are kind of expensive. They get more expensive as they go underground. But it's still way cheaper than drilling a well. Here's a cheaper one, $1,500 for 1,700 gallons. You put a couple of those underground. You know, you could shop through here and figure out what kinds you want. This is tankdepot.com with a hyphen in the middle. Here's the kind of tanks you put above ground. They have like UV. They try to fight the sun kind of plastic, you know, blacks and greens and stuff. And so you can go up to crazy sizes. You know, these are small, ridiculously small ones. I mean, for all these small ones, just get some like IBC totes. They're like $100 off of Craigslist. But get some of these like 3,000 gallon ones. Let's get to 3,000 gallons. You know, what's this? 2,800 gallons for $900. 2,700 gallons for 1,000. Here's 1,200 for 3,000 gallon. Let's click on that one. Rainwater collection. These are rainwater collection kinds of tanks, right? Made for collecting water, and they even put a little, you can add a little filter on there if you really wanted to. So there's, you know, put a couple of these things together and pump the water into it, and look at how many places this ships from: Utah, Oklahoma, Georgia, New York, Washington, California, Texas. It's these tanks are all over the place. So there's a whole bunch of different sources. You got different places they ship from. Find a closer one, you know, figure it out. There's a bunch of them online you can choose from, but the idea is those tanks. A cheaper way of doing it, not having to deal with shipping and stuff. If you're a DIY guy like me, this is what I'd probably do. there's books on this. I've got books on doing these. It's just basic instruction, right? So this is ferro cement. Ferro cement is like the same kind of thing you build a swimming pool out of. They use a lot of this wire. They're using chicken wire, and it's a funny looking chicken wire. But chicken wire and a bunch of um, you know, rebar. You can get that stuff at Home Depot or your local hardware store, big box store, metal supply. Looks like they got some um, cattle wire, chicken wire, and they're putting these together with, like, you just use some zip ties or some metal tie wire, you know, the kind that you use for doing cement work. Get the little hooks, you just twist them together, it'd be easier. Make a circle, tie it together, bunch more rebar. Yeah, rebar protruding from the foundation. So this is a bunch of rebar. You just make a cage, right? A bunch of different wire meshes and rebar together, and you make a foundation, make a cement foundation. Put a bunch of rebar and cement in the bottom, and leave the rebar sticking out of it for your circle. And then you're making this cage. You know, you get the idea. You're just making it out of metal, and then allow the mortar to cure. I missed slap the concrete mortar into the outside of the mesh frame. The mortar should be applied so that the holes of the mesh are completely filled. So they're talking about like troweling it in. They must be talking about a smaller one, like mixing up the mortar and slapping it in there with a trowel. You can get these guns. You can rent these guns with like a cement hopper, where a cement truck could come and dump it into the hopper that pumps it into the gun and sprays it. That's what a lot of the pool guys use. And you spray the cage, and you just keep going around and around and around, coat by coat, and you leave a little thin coat on there, and it builds up and builds up. Give it a little bit of time to set as you're working the rest of it, but still sticky enough that you stick the rest to it. And you circle your way around, and you got a cement water tank. It's a lot cheaper than buying stuff. You can build a monster. And so here they're doing stairs out of rebar, and here they're coming up with different roof construction. They're using wood. They're building a wood frame. They're putting a pillar in the middle to help support this one. Other ones I've seen without the pillar, you just make like a dome. It'll support itself. You use a bunch of wood beams in the middle to support it. You know, like 4x6s and stuff because of the weight. And then once the walls are cured, position the wood beams inside the tank. So they're doing it a couple steps. I've seen people do the whole thing in one shot. You know, roof walls. So it's all flowing together. You don't have a seam on the side, so when the thing overfills, the seam busts out. Here you can't put any water pressure up to the top because there's a seam, so you're probably going to stop filling or have an outlet before it gets to that seam. There's different ways of doing it. So they're making a wood frame, and then they're pouring cement on top of that, you know, putting all the rebar and metal in there, filling it with cement again, thick cement so it doesn't run down. And then you got a tank. You got a tank for not a whole lot of money. So then they paint the inside of the tank with waterproof sealant so it doesn't leak into the cement, and you got a monster freaking tank for not much money. And this is cartoonish. Just kind of a picture in the background, but still looks cartoonish. It's not the real thing. Somebody just playing on a computer trying to get hits, and I'm feeding into it. So there's the idea of how to build a ferro cement tank to store your water. To use a property like this property, and you could buy all three of these if you wanted, but there's a power line there. You do rainwater collection and not pay for a well, and 4 acres and up, you don't need building inspections, so you can basically build whatever you want and run with it right close to the border, all kinds of supplies. And there's a Walmart right down the street there in Douglas. Let's do that. Douglas Walmart. See how far Douglas is. I mean, it's really close. 13 minutes, 7.9 miles. You can shoot over to Walmart. I'm not sure what else is there. So J.C. Penney, if they didn't close, a bunch of those have been closing up. I know there's a Walmart. I'm guessing there's lumber and supplies. see if there's a lumber. B&D Lumber and Hardware. Yeah, so there's a lumber yard there. You can see all their, this is probably where they store the lumber, or that's the next building over. Bunch of solar panels next to that. Yeah, there's lumber and supply there, so you'd probably be there all the time as you go build your place. There's the property. Let's take you back to the property. This one is $2,099 for 4 acres. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This is Luke Smith, ruralvacantland.com. If you want to go for this one, click the link below. It'll take you to this website. You can click the Buy It Now button. Fill out your information. It's yours. You can start using it the same day. Thank you.